this past year, what's been the most interesting or surprising thing that's happened to you? What would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that I travel and speak a lot, and I just have the honor of hearing a lot of people's stories. And I think everybody from teenagers to adults to priests to bishops to religious sisters, every single person that I meet wants to encounter the Lord. They want to know that their sufferings matter, that they don't disqualify that person from being loved by God unconditionally, and that there's hope, that there's always hope. And it's amazing that no matter how many academic degrees we have or how well known we are, that desire to be seen and known and unconditionally loved is so deep in the heart of every single person. And it's just so beautiful to behold those places in people's hearts.
That's beautiful. Well, welcome everybody to Smart Catholics Mastermind. Today we're joined by Sister Miriam James, and it's of the SOLT. Is that the best way to say it, or do people say SOLT? How do
They
they
do say
pronounce
salt, yes.
it?
They're like, "Salt?" No, I'm like, "No, it's salt." It's kind of funny, but yeah, it's a very
Salt of
long
the
name,
earth.
the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity, SOLT.
Beautiful. I'm going to ask you in a moment just like what that is, what the charism is, and share your story. I mean, you've probably shared it other places, but I'll ask you again. With this show, friends, it's about meeting the minds and hearts of Catholic creators. They're devoting their time and talent to mastering their journey, their vocation, so normal people like you and I can live fuller lives faster and maybe get a little smarter. In a special way, we want to talk about Sister's book and her project, Behold, for Advent. It's just this beautiful, stunning series of guided meditations, and it's got just gorgeous art in it. And so we'll get into all of that and talk about that. Sister, I'd love to ask you in a couple of minutes, what was your story in your, was there a moment where you realized, I need to dedicate myself to this path, this journey in life, and follow Christ in this specific way? And what was that? What is that story?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there's many things we could say about our stories, and all of us have different narratives, right? I think the most honest version is that love came to find me where I was shattered and broken, and I will never stop speaking about the power of love to heal. And I grew up Catholic. We went to church every Sunday, but I never fell in love with Jesus. I was an athlete. I loved art and beauty and music, and I went to college on a volleyball scholarship, a Division I volleyball scholarship. I wanted to work for ESPN, and I also was an addict. I started drinking when I was 12. I had a lot of sexual trauma from a time I was a little girl, and a lot of secrets. There's a great saying in 12-step meetings that we're only as sick as our secrets, and I had a lot of them. And when I was in college, God, in his loving kindness, sent a Catholic priest into my life. And up until that time, I'd never met anybody who was that holy and who was so vibrantly alive. And I just remember looking at him, and he wasn't perfect. He'd been a priest a long time, and he loved Jesus. He wasn't perfect. He had broken parts of his story like everybody else. But I couldn't deny the fact that that man loved Jesus. And I could see Christ looking at me from his eyes at times. And I just remember being at that time, he had mentored me for many years. And I just remember being 21 years old, and there I am, an active alcoholic and pretty much living with the second guy and pretending I was fine. Like I didn't have any problems. And I just remember looking at Father saying, I don't know what you have, but I want that. Like whatever that luminosity is, whatever that radiance is, I want that. And he just smiled and he looked at me and he said, "You come and see. You come and see." Right. So I did. And that was, 24 years ago. And I heard the Lord call me to be his bride. It made sense in my life. And that was really the beginning. That was the beginning of a healing journey for me of sobriety, of restoration, of transformation, and a journey that continues. As I sit here before you today, a masterpiece, like C.S. Lewis says in The Problem of Pain, that we are a masterpiece, something that God is making, right? And God continues to remake me every day, and I'm so grateful for it.
Wow. I did not know anything about that level of your story.
Mm.
And you can see the painful memories there for you. I'm so out of that. What drew you to the SOLT as opposed to the variety of other orders that are out there?
Well, I was just so fragile. The God was very kind to me. I would never have survived like a convent hop or like a nun run. I just wouldn't have done it. And the priest that mentored me was a member of our community. And so what I loved about our community, which is what I still love about it, is that we serve very closely with our priests and our laity. And that's our charism. And we serve in what we call areas of deepest apostolic need based on what the bishop invites us to how he invites us to serve in his diocese. So I like the adventure of it. And I just like the familiarity, like our huge conferences that we have, our community gatherings in the summer, there's kids running around, there's families, there's, I mean, old people, young people, volunteers at our missions. And it really is lovely. And that's one of the things I loved about it. And that's one of the things I still do love about it.
Beautiful. So the charism then of the order is it's a teaching order. What does it do?
Well, the charism is actually how we serve and live in teams of priests, sisters, and laity in
Mhm.
Marian Trinitarian spirituality. So we do whatever work a bishop asks. So some of us do teach. Sometimes we run parishes. We have an orphanage in Cologne, Mexico. We have take care of the elderly. We run a high school in Belize, Central America. In Thailand, we have a drug rehab center for men and women. In the Philippines, they go out to the islands and minister to people on the islands. So it really is based on whatever the bishop needs, is deepest apostolic need, whatever his deepest needs are, we try to fill those.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. So let's talk then about Behold.
Yeah.
What is it briefly, and how did you come up with it?
Yeah, so Behold is just a small invitation to wholeness and communion with the Lord. And I wrote a Lenten journal last year called Restore, and it was about healing through prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, and about forgiveness. And then as I prayed about the Advent season, I was thinking how all of us come from a family. Every single person alive has spent more or less 9 months in the womb of a woman, and all of us have families. And the holidays are times where we get together with our family, and a lot of things come up in our families. And the Advent is a time for the Holy Family. So the Lord really opened my heart of just 4 weeks of the first week of spending time with Our Lady and healing with your mother, whether she's living or deceased. The second week is spending time with St. Joseph and healing with your dad. The third week is spending time with the child Jesus and healing of your childhood. And then the fourth week is spending time with the Holy Family and the healing of your family. And
Wow.
when we talk about healing, it's not fixing, it's not some movement in the church. It's the gospel message of an encounter with Jesus that brings us into wholeness and communion. And I don't know anybody who can't use that. So it's just really a gentle invitation into, yeah, deeper places of our heart where maybe things we haven't looked at, maybe things we've minimized, things that are still getting in the way of us really loving
Mhm.
excellently and loving like Christ, and helping to remove those obstacles so that we can grow in the truth of who Jesus says we are.
Beautiful. So it's this unique and beautiful guide through Advent, and I love how it does. How do you say this? It doesn't just pull you into the mysteries of Advent, but it also helps pull them into you, um,
Mhm.
which I don't know. We don't often think of the mysteries that way, and I think that's something that it's very very needed, very important. How then does the book work? So it's got these 4 segments. It's following the 4 weeks of Advent.
Mhm.
How do you recommend they use the book?
I think if we could just allow the book to invite you into deeper places of your heart, and like you just so beautifully said, I think we're surprised at the level of intimacy that Jesus wants to have with us. And we kind of keep God at a distance so we can kind of manage, or there's just some places of our life where it's just too much. And so when we really get into the person of who Jesus is and who Joseph and Mary are, I think we're shocked at their humanity. And
Mhm.
it's the beauty of him inviting us. And so really it's like me in a sense, just inviting you, like taking your hand on a journey and saying, let's just go on an adventure. And it's going to have journaling prompts. There's journaling questions, there's prayers, there's meditations of just allowing your heart to sit. Every week there's a prayer for healing with your mom, with your dad, with your family, with you as a child. There's videos that will come out every Sunday that'll just be helping you along the journey. So it's really, my heart is just a simple and gentle invitation to deeper healing in your life. And that's really all I want for you, is a deeper encounter with Jesus in those places.
Can you talk about that second aspect? You said that there's videos coming out online, so it's not just a
Mhm.
book you can
Mhm.
grab online and then sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament or go read on
Mhm.
our own. You've also got additional online component. Is there like a
Yes.
group or a community
Mhm.
or an email list? How does that work?
Yes, so Ave Maria Press will be releasing, videos every Sunday on their YouTube channel, but also just in different formats, so, like, on Formed and just different places like that, and you can those are free, you can watch them, they're, like, 10 minutes each, and just to kinda give you an overview of the week and kind of open your heart in places, and the book is designed where you can do it by yourself, you can do it with a small group, you can do it with a whole parish-based community, that at any level, it's a great thing to share with other people. I mean, I know a lot of the feedback that I got from the Lenten journal was that it gave people a way to talk to each other in ways they hadn't been
Mm.
able to do so, to build deeper like relationships in their families with their friends. And it just is an opening of our hearts. And so whatever way would bless you, that's all I really want to do. So people find different avenues more helpful, but we're just trying to give you as many resources as possible just to enter into the Advent journey.
Fantastic. who would you think is the best kind of person, the person who's going to get the most out of a book like this? And obviously, all kinds can grab it, and most should read it, like you said. Most need it. Who do you think is going to resonate the fastest or the most with what's in there?
That's a wonderful question. I think anybody with an open heart and a willingness to be willing. And of all, like you, I meet people from all walks of life, and like all of us have these places of our heart where we want to know the truth that we're loved unconditionally, and every single one of us has places in our heart where our families are not what we hoped they would be, and
Mhm.
places where we had wonderful mothers and fathers, but they're not perfect. And those little places, often we form beliefs out of those places of our life. Many times we're living as adults in ways that we lived as children. And so I think if you're just willing to let Jesus take you on a journey, to let Mary take you on a journey, to let Joseph take you on a journey, and just to be surprised by their goodness, I think you're going to find it helpful. And it's just a few minutes a day. And even if you fall off the wagon, so to speak, just get back up and join us. It just something is better than nothing. And Advent is so much more than parties and food, and it's fun. It's a wonderful season. I love it. But at the heart of it is really allowing the Holy Family to bring us home, because that's eternal. The desire for home is eternal. That's an echo of heaven. And so
Mhm.
the Lord is etching in our hearts the truth of what it means to be home, that we are always at home with him, and we always have a place there.
That's so beautiful. Sister, where can they find the book online? And then if they want to connect with you, where can they find you online?
Yes, you can find the book at avamariapress.com. You can find it on Amazon. Yeah, there's many places. I have a podcast I co-host called Abiding Together. We have tons of links to the podcast on Abiding Together and a private Facebook page and things like that. So you can find me there. You can find me at Abiding Together, or you can find me. The only social media I'm personally on is at Twitter, and that's at One Groovy Nun. And if you want to find out more about my religious community, you can go to SOLT.net. So super simple. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, friends, if you've enjoyed this conversation with Sister, please hit that like button right now. More people then can hear about her message and hear about this beautiful book and this project. Behold, it's just wonderful. This show, it's brought to you by the free online community for Catholic millennials, creators, and learners who want faithful conversations that are unafraid of doubts and questions. Come and check us out at SmartCatholics.com. And you've kind of done this already, Sister, but I'd like to ask this question again anyway. If you had 1 minute to share a message of encouragement to Catholics everywhere, what would you want to say?
Mm. I would say that you are loved. You are loved more than you could ever possibly imagine. And that your tears matter, and the places your heart has been broken, and your dreams and your desires and the etching of God in your soul, it matters. You matter to him. You are not forgotten. And that what happened to you does not define you. You are a beloved son or daughter of God, and he loves you. He will never stop pursuing you. He will never stop seeking you. And his heart is for you, and he heals us in love and truth. And to me, that's the best news ever.